Hello and welcome to a roundtable discussion here with we're focused on the Humana exit strategy. So we will do a carrier product update, but this is a chance for us to all kind of talk through the transition of groups when Humana's exit starts. So we'll go through the timeline and the strategy for that transition. My name is Jason Powers, and I am joined by our very talented Director of Operations, Kathy Webb.
Welcome. Hello, thank you.
Welcome to the studio.
First time, thanks for letting me in.
Long time listener, first time.
Yes, first time appearance.
For those of you that aren't familiar with Legacy Brokers, we are a health insurance general agency. Our role here is as a wholesaler. We work with independent agents out in the market to build, protect, and preserve your books of business. We have a market footprint in 31 states, and we have a variety of insurance agents across the country that we work with through our mutual carrier partners. One of our focuses really is on self-funded group health plans. It's not the only thing that we talk about, but we talk about self-funded quite a bit. Our approach is really simple. We quote your cases, we analyze those quotes, we assist you in the sale. We'll help you write the case and service the case, and then we'll help you renew the case throughout the year. And we do that all through not just the services we provide on the back end, but we also provide product training, industry education, and marketing support in between. So you're here today for a carrier product update from Humana. Every time we do a carrier product update, we do update our website under the carriers tab, where you can see all of the videos and all the interviews that we've done with different carriers throughout the years. There's the Humana one. So after today, the Humana video is posted on our website, where you can go back and rewatch the interview with David Brown from Humana. You can also click on timestamps to go directly to specific parts of that video to see specific information, download some marketing materials, get some FAQs answered. And in fact, Rick, if you could park there for just a second, right there in the marketing materials for Humana, Humana has distributed an FAQ for brokers and agents, as well as one for employers. So we'll reference some of that material at the end of the presentation. Make sure that you visit our site and download that material for your clients. And just like you signed up for this event through our website, you can sign up for all of our events. This is our carrier product update with Humana. Next week, we're starting a three-week session on self-funded university. Our part one is how self-funded plans work. They're each 2 hours of CE credits. So we've got next week, I can't read the date, but I think that's the following week, and then the following Wednesday, 2 hours apiece for a total of 6 CE credits. But you can sign up for any one of our sessions or all of our sessions all at once. Just go through the proper links on our site. Now, after Kathy and I finish this presentation today, we'll package everything up and post it to our Insights tab. So you'll have not only the Humana announcement and the interview with David Brown, but also our transition conversation that you can go back and reference on our Insights tab. All right. So, Rick, if you could post the next slide here. So this is our agenda for today. We are going to talk through first we're going to watch the video with David Brown. David was in our office last Friday. Interesting with all the construction outside, it was even worse last Friday.
A little background noise.
Yeah. So, but David was in our office last Friday. We had a chance to sit down. It's about a 10 or 11 minute video that you'll get to see here in a moment. And we talked through a lot of these things really in a small amount of time. So Kathy and I will come back after that video, and we'll go through the actual exit timeline from Humana, what our transition strategy is with the agents like you that we work with in the market who have Humana business or are prospecting cases that might have Humana, and then how we can help you as a general agency. So without further ado, Rick, if you could go ahead and start the video here. This is the session we have with David Brown from Humana.
Hi, welcome back to our Carrier Product Update series. I've got a very special announcement here for this carrier product update with Humana Insurance Company. I've got David Brown with me, good friend of mine. We're going to just talk to you about the Humana transition, the recent announcement about Humana exiting the commercial group medical market, but staying in the ancillary markets and what that means for your clients. David, welcome back.
Thanks, Jason, and happy St. Patty's Day.
Happy St. Patty's Day, it is. Yes.
Where's your green?
Green's in my pocket.
That's
Green's
right.
in my pocket. I didn't get the fancy shirt. I don't have the green Humana logo. So, well, David, I know the announcement that came out a couple of weeks ago here, had a lot of us, I think, reminiscing a little bit. For me, it was a tough email to read, knowing that I immediately thought back to broker experiences in Green Bay, the field underwriting days, and the amazing times that we've all had with our friends at Humana. So, but this isn't goodbye to Humana in its entirety as a company. Humana is staying in the ancillary market, right?
Correct.
But this is more about what's going on the group medical side, what kind of timelines there are, and what options groups have as they approach their anniversary date. So what does that look like? We have agents all across the country, and I know your specific territory is Kansas and Missouri, but what does it look like from a company-wide perspective? How are they? How is Humana handling that transition?
Sure. So for those that don't know, Humana did announce 2 weeks ago that we are exiting the commercial medical market in all of our markets. That means that Humana is still going to be on the ancillary or specialty side selling business, so we're not going away. We also have the verticals in our commercial Medicare markets and Medicare Advantage, Medicaid, as well as military. So we have all the verticals there. We're just getting out of the commercial medical market. What does that look like? So effective 4/1, on the small business side, Humana will no longer sell level funded premium products.
Okay.
The exiting of the marketplace will differ based on the state that Humana has clustered into different categories. So the exiting strategy will be starting November 1st of this year, and then go November, December, and January, where we will stop selling medical business in certain markets. Until then, it's business as usual. So if you have a current Humana client, they can renew as is. For Kansas and Missouri specifically, our cluster in date is November 1st of 2023. So we will offer renewals up until 10/1/2023, business as usual. Then the following year, they will not be offered a renewal, and we will be completely out of the business in Kansas and Missouri on 11/1/2024.
Got it. So we're still able to sell ancillary Humana on all of those segments regardless of effective date.
Correct.
So if you've got a case that has medical, dental, vision, the medical will have an end date, but the dental and vision and potentially other ancillary products will still stay intact.
Yes, we're hopeful that you will maintain and keep that business, that block of business with Humana, and then grow that specialty business as well. A couple new things on the specialty side is that we are going to start offering disability. I believe that start date's around quote date for a 7/1 effective date for a 9/1 actual effective date. And we're also looking into enhancing that product portfolio on the worksite products as well. So we will be a full specialty carrier at that time, offering all lines of business, one billing statement for all those lines, those types of things.
Got it. So then back to the group medical side, especially on the level funded premium plans, those tend to have an opportunity for surplus, and Humana generally returns, I think it's 100% of the surplus minus a terminal reserve fee of 6%. So
Correct.
I always tell people it's really 94%.
94%.
94%. But I say it your way, the 100% minus the terminal reserve. So cases that are up for renewal, we're in March, so looking at April, May, June, July, August, September, and then October effective dates. Those will still be offered renewals. And then what happens those cases, if I'm correct, if they move at anniversary to another carrier and they have a surplus, they forfeit that surplus.
Correct. So really what we're saying here is from the renewal dates from now until 10/1, effective date of this year, if you leave Humana to move to another carrier, you will not get the surplus. Now, if the group renews on 10/1 of this year and then they go through the whole cycle, 12-month cycle till next year, and they're not offered a renewal and there's surplus, at that point they will get a surplus. So really after 11/1 groups, 11/1 effective dates, if the group cannot renew and there's a surplus, Humana will give that group a surplus. It'll be in the form of a check 90 days post termination.
Makes sense. So then we're talking, this is 2023, so we're talking November 1, December 1, those January 1 cases, or if we just had cases that signed up February or March, when those come around, they won't be offered renewals. If there is a surplus, Humana will return that surplus 90 days. That's the reconciliation is 90 days after the end of the contract. So,
correct.
So good news for those cases, and I think that helps really, in that transition of cases from now until October. I think it helps a little bit of breathing room for those
business
cases.
as usual.
Business as
Business
usual.
as usual. As mentioned before, we're still in the business with specialty and all the other lines of business. So we will have a customer service team there. That's not going away. It's not like we're shutting all the doors at Humana. It's just that vertical, the commercial medical segment.
Yeah, because Humana does much more than just commercial group. So if you've got Medicare business, the ancillary side, the Medicaid side, all those other lines are staying intact. It's just the commercial group medical side.
Correct.
And as it pertains to, so that we talked about level funded, but on the fully insured ACA plans, is it the same? Well, it's the same timeline.
Yeah, so we're shutting down selling level funded premium with a 4/1 effective date across the board. So after 4/1, no more level funded premium. However, we will still offer 51 plus fully insured, so even 100 plus or 150 person group, we would still write new business up until that term date, which again for Kansas, Missouri is they could write up new business until 10/1/23 this year. Again, business as usual from that standpoint. I did want to note here in Missouri that community rated has been turned off for a 4/1 effective date as well, but community rated is still open in other markets until that term date, whenever that is determined up for that state. So in Kansas, we can write community rated up until 10/1 of this year.
Got it. All right. And so we'll have some clarity on the clusters of what that transition looks like because we do have agents across the country. I think our primary cluster, if you will, of brokers that sell Humana are in the Kansas and Missouri markets. So this is timely information for them. But others, other areas of the country, Humana's phasing out the group medical, maybe 11/1, 12/1, and 1/1.
Yeah, there's just three clusters on a monthly basis. So 11/1, 12/1, and 1/1, and depending on what state you fall into is when that end date will happen.
Okay, and we'll have that information posted underneath this video here on our website in the Humana product page. So if that applies to you, if you're not in the Kansas or Missouri market, you've got specific questions about which cluster your groups fall into, just reach out. We'll be happy to help you with that transition. David, anything else that agents need to know as they work on this transition over the course of the next year?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, Jason, is to don't panic. Again, it's business as usual. If you have a Humana client that's coming up for renewal, look at that renewal and so forth. You will get the best customer service possible. Again, you need to start looking at Humana as a specialty carrier on the group side of things. And the same exceptional service that we've offered in the past, the same hand holding and things like that. The culture that we provide that you've experienced over a long time will still be there, just be on the specialty side or ancillary side. We're looking forward to a new chapter and the evolution of Humana, really.
Yeah, we are too. We appreciate you coming in and talking to our agents today. If you have questions about groups that you have with Humana, or questions just in general about the transition, feel free to reach out to our office, and our staff is ready to answer those questions and help you out. Until next time, David, thanks so much. This is not goodbye. I'm going to see you. I'll see you quite a bit.
Around.
Yeah. So,
I'll be around.
But I do appreciate you taking the time here in the early morning here.
All right, thanks, Jason.
St. Patrick's Day. So we'll see you next time.
All right, so now you've heard from David Brown at Humana. We've heard the discussion about the timeline and the clusters and the different the different exit times for each one of those clusters and cases in those clusters. Again, that video will be posted to our website under the Carriers tab under the Humana link. The video of this conversation will be posted separately on our Insights tab. And really, we thought that was the best way to approach this this conversation, so that we could talk with you agents out in the market. We'll have some time here after Kathy and I go through some of these slides to open up for questions from you in the audience. And when we get to that part, if you just raise your hand on Zoom, we'll bring you in on questions. You can throw the question in the FAQ, or I'm sorry, the Q&A portion of Zoom. We'll be happy to answer those live if you don't want to be on the presentation, but we'll post that under our Insights tab separately in combination with that video from David. So Rick, could you go next slide for me? So this really is the gist of the timeline. We kind of talked about it in the video with David, and I wanted to make sure that we got a visual.
Yeah, a lot of information.
Right? There's Humana wasn't in every state on the group side, but they were in quite a few states. That first cluster includes Arizona, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Missouri, Mississippi, and Wisconsin. I got all my abbreviations right. So non-renewals will start November 1st, 2023. So that's this year, November 1 effective dates. So if you have cases in those states that are up for renewal November, December, or January coming up, or even beyond that, really, those are not going to get a renewal.
Correct. Yep. 10-1's it.
And the membership in that cluster will be down to 0 by 10/31 of next year. In cluster 2, you got Georgia, Iowa, Nevada, Ohio. Indiana was on there twice. I don't know if they have a separate product in different parts of Indiana, but Puerto Rico, non-renewals start 12/1. So between now and November 1 effective dates, you'll still get a renewal, but the December 1 and beyond you won't. And that membership will be down to 0 by November 30th of 2024. And then Illinois, Florida, and Texas. I know we've got Texas producers on the call. Non-renewals start January 1st. So if you've got cases up for renewal between now and December, those will get a renewal, but the January 1 cases won't. And membership in that final cluster in all commercial medical membership down to 0.
I know, it's ominous.
12/31 of next year, Humana's out of the group market. So that's
For medical.
Yes, this is just for group medical on the commercial side. So Rick, if we could go to the next slide. So then what does that look like? I mean, there's clusters and dates, but then let's put that, into specific case
segments.
Yeah, situations and segments, right? The fully insured small group under 50. I mean, Humana's been a competitive player in that space for a long time.
Yeah, really, when the ACA plans came out in 2013, they were the low-cost carrier. And really until probably the last 2 years, they had been in that space. So we've got a lot of fully insured small group business out there with Humana.
Yeah, and I think some of that you know, thinking back to what we've seen over the last few years with, you know, Humana didn't enforce contributions, didn't enforce the participation requirements.
Right.
So as those cases are transitioning to a new carrier, that's something that they've got to be mindful of. An agent's got to be thinking, you know, I've got 2 out of 30 that are enrolled on a
Right,
small group
right.
Humana plan.
Yeah, so cases like that will be a little more challenging. On the fully insured side, not all carriers are at the 50% participation like you're gonna see on level funded. For example, United Healthcare fully insured on the small group side is 25% participation. So some options out there. But if one of the draws to those Humana plans was not having the participation enforced, that's going to be a unique situation that we can certainly walk through with you and find solutions that will work for those cases.
Definitely, definitely. And this is true in most of Humana's portfolio. On the group medical side, they have unique plan designs too, right? So things to be mindful of as we're making that transition in all segments.
Mhm.
So really the next 4 segments, if we think about it, Kathy, we've got level funded small group under 50, fully insured mid-market 51 to 99, level funded mid-market 51 to 99, fully insured and self-funded 100 plus. Those 4 segments are all subject to medical underwriting.
Yep.
Which presents a whole other set of, I wouldn't say challenges, but new opportunities. New opportunities for you as a consultant to be the trusted advisor and guide your client to a soft landing place. And that's really what we're looking at here. So in that level funded small group under 50 and beyond, well, let's focus on that for just a second. Something that David mentioned that I know was a question we were getting almost immediately after the announcement came out. What's going to happen to the surplus? Right. You know, if you know, or even if you don't know, Humana's a level funded product, much like other carriers in this space, you have to renew in order to get the surplus. And Humana returns 100% minus their 6% terminal reserve fee, which nets out at a 94% surplus return. In normal situations, they give that as a credit on the invoice at, I think, 3 months after the 2.5, 3 months after the case renews. But in this case, what he's saying is, if you're in that, if you're going to receive a renewal this year, if you're not in that non-renewal phase of the cluster, if you receive a renewal and you choose to move that case anyway, and there's a surplus, they forfeit that surplus.
Right. As would be the case anyway, right? But yeah, so that will continue to be enforced. Something that would be a consideration on those cases would be the amount of the surplus versus potential savings to make a carrier change.
Sure.
So your math from earlier, if you've got a $10,000 savings by moving to a new carrier and you've got a $6,000 surplus, probably makes more sense to forfeit the surplus in that situation.
Sure.
You reverse that, it would make more sense to renew the case, get the benefit of the surplus. For cases that fall beyond the renewal period, where there will not be a renewal, if there's a surplus, they will get that in a refund.
Yeah. So if they are cluster 1, November 1 effective date, if they're not going to be issued a renewal, if that case is in a surplus position, Humana has indicated they're going to send a refund check back to that case.
Right.
So, which I think was encouraging to hear. It's not, it's not groups choosing to leave. It's they don't have an option but to go somewhere else. So.
Right. So they're not forfeiting voluntarily. They will get that money back.
Yeah. So then we think of, with level funded, we can get claims reporting. There's not a lot of carriers out there that are experience rating cases under 50, are there? I mean,
no.
Our underwriting process in that space is typically what, apps, maybe an AI model of underwriting.
GRX. commonly referred to as GRX. Yeah.
DRX, Curve, Verify, so there's a myriad of others. What specifically under 50? And I know we've got agents across the country, so not just the Kansas City market, but also 29 other states. What are we seeing? It's been so long since I've been on that side, processing pre-screens and submissions. What are we seeing? What's our team seeing? Carriers' behavior in that space with AI?
On the under 50 space, it's kind of all across the board. For example, United Healthcare will GRX, and I'm going to use the term GRX loosely.
Sure.
But will GRX census underwrite for groups with 10 plus enrolled, assuming they're not a virgin case, and they don't require claims data, they don't require renewal information. So really those cases with United Healthcare level funded, we can underwrite at any time via census, does not have to be at renewal. Then we have other carriers, for example, Aetna will GRX down to 10, Allstate GRXs at 20. Those carriers are going to require claims data. They're going to require the most recent carrier renewal. Allstate also has an employer disclosure, for example. So it's a little bit specific to the carriers, but that's part of what we're here to help the agents with, is to walk you through that process, what we need for those different carriers. We haven't heard yet on if an agent has a case that they're wanting to shop off renewal and we're wanting to look at an Aetna or look at an Allstate, where traditionally they would require the most recent renewal. It would have to be on the renewal date and we would need claims reporting. We haven't heard yet if the carriers are going to be making exceptions in those cases, specific to the Humana book of business or not. So I think we've heard from just about everybody that they've been getting together and trying to put in place a plan for how the Humana book will be handled. But we'll be making everyone aware of that as we're aware of it. And certainly, again, walking agents through that process as the cases come in.
Sure. And I know, I mean, the announcement's barely a month old. And I know my phone and email and text was blowing up with carriers coming to the table saying, hey, we're working on a transition plan. What are you thinking for your Humana book? And that's where we've kind of turned back to our agents and said, wait, these are your cases. We want to know, we want to be there to support your efforts in the transition, but we also want to make sure that you understand the level funded space where, you know, moving before the renewal or if there's a surplus, what that forfeit looks like. They're not entitled to it. It is contractual. And so.
Well, and even going back to the under 50 fully insured business, a lot of cases that might be under 5, where we had to have 5 enrolled for Humana level funded, we have carrier options on the level funded side that go down to 2. Aetna, Allstate, Allied, for example, that will go down to 2 enrolled on level funded that a few years ago were 5. So that there may be people out there that are unaware of those options as well for the micro groups under 5 that are currently fully insured.
And in certain states, United level funded even goes down to 2, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of opportunity, I think, in that, you're right, in that under 5 space where they were really just in the ACA plans, maybe looking outside of it. If they meet participation, they meet the contributions requirements. And then looking at fully insured mid-market 51 to 99, this is the one that I think is going to be a little more challenging, only because there's no claims data, right? So we don't know what's going on within the case. Getting a group of 80 employees to fill out applications is probably a stretch. It's not impossible.
Sure.
Our agents have access to our FormFire account, so they're able to use that program to go get applications on groups of that size. But we're seeing GRX in that space too, right?
Sure, we do. Again, typically, those are scenarios where we need to have the most recent renewal and we need to have census enrollment, and it's underwritten in that way. So as it stands today, those are the things we would need, which would be no problem marketing these cases at renewal. But if somebody's wanting to shop those off renewal, get ahead of it, we're gonna have to get more information from the other carriers as far as how they're gonna handle that.
Sure. Sure. And I think we don't necessarily have a timeline for that. I think a lot of carriers are still trying to position themselves to be at the front of the line.
Sure.
To get a look at those cases. Other segments, level funded, mid-market 51 to 99, and then all of the 100+ space. We know that there's claims information there. That opens up, I think, a lot of different markets. That opens up Health EZ to go in and experience rate it. I know Allstate will do some experience rating in that segment. And then your
Cigna, Trustmark,
Yep.
sure, yeah.
Cigna, Blue Cross even will do that. United Healthcare, Aetna, they'll all experience rate in that segment. So I think we're certainly in a position with those segments to not have as many challenges on the underwriting piece as we are in that smaller group segment. There's just a difference in how they underwrite.
Right, yep.
So let's see. So then next slide for me, Rick. Oh, and no impact to ancillary. This is key for everyone to know is, and David mentions it, Humana is not going away as a company. There's still your group ancillary products, and they're doubling down in that space, including expansion into some other programs that they haven't offered in the past. They also are doubling down on the Medicare products, both on the really in that advantage space.
Right.
So
not only can agents renew the ancillary book if they want to leave the ancillary, move the medical, but we can quote ancillary standalone for Humana going forward.
And just like the medical, Humana's got some unique plan designs and benefit summaries in that ancillary space that you don't see with some of the other carriers. So I think there's merit to just really letting it ferment in your mind that Humana's not going away. It's just the group medical side that
Yeah, very much a player in the ancillary and the Medicare space.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. All right, so then how can we help you? Really, I probably titled this could have titled this a little differently. These are things that we think you should be doing as an agent and an advisor out in the market, and what we can do to help you with those different stages. Right now, start gathering the RFP info. The last thing you want to do is wait till the last minute to start asking for information and scrambling to the finish line. If you don't have a system where you're tracking, active eligibility files or live census, getting a copy of a current bill, making sure that you have all the dependent information. That's probably the one thing that stops us on a lot of cases.
Sure, and going back to the GRX scenarios, in order to do that, we have to have first name, last name, gender, date of birth, and home zip code for everyone who's being covered or seeking coverage on that plan. So a lot of times we get census requests in that don't have dependent information, don't have home zip codes. Those details are all very important in getting accurate quotes. So even if we're not trying to GRX underwrite, getting accurate quotes, and certainly we have to have that information to do the GRX underwriting.
Absolutely. So then benefit information, if they are level funded, or in that space where they're fully insured over 100, making sure you've got the claims data. I think in their level funded program, we really just kind of get the aggregate statement. In the large group space, I think you can get a little bit more detail on individual high claims and maybe prescription drug utilization. I think the reporting will be a little bit different in each segment, but getting claims reporting, getting the benefit information, and making sure you get the census right, I think are the main
critical, yeah.
things. And then probably should have been the number one bullet: discuss your plan for this transition with your client or prospect. The announcement was made just around a month ago. Critical to reach out to your clients and let them know that you're working on a transition plan for them, in particular if they're in that November, December, January renewal affected dates, and the cluster they're in is getting a non-renewal. it's, you know, you think of it as an agent, it's one thing to not know what the renewal increase is gonna be. And, you know, how that's going to impact your fourth quarter, but now knowing that you're
It's
not
not
going
coming,
to get
right,
a renewal.
they're going to have to make a change.
Your clients have been, they've received communications from Humana. If they haven't seen it, I'm sure there's a chance that another agent might be calling them as a prospect, knowing that they have Humana with you in the past. You may have a list like that of prospects that you know that have Humana. This is a great opportunity to be the one that makes that call and make sure that they understand you've got a plan for their transition.
And I think that's a really important piece, because while that communication went to the employers, not everyone pays full attention to the stuff they get in the mail from carriers or emails from carriers. A lot of times I think it can be pushed aside. You think it's propaganda, trying to sell me something. So reaching out to those clients and making sure that they saw the communication, that they're aware. We showed some FAQ pieces earlier that are available that you can download and send to your client to make sure they're aware, just reinforcing what's happening, what the timeline is, that you're on top of it as their trusted advisor, and already working a plan for them.
Sure, and I think communicate early and often is our next one, right?
Mhm.
And so I think if you start that conversation now, make sure that your clients and even prospects know that you know, make them feel confident in your transition plan for them. And that I think that really solves a lot of that anxiety over the initial announcement. And they may have, you mentioned that, you know, maybe the employer didn't really pay attention to it, but members, employees might be hearing or seeing the communications. And so getting out in front of it, making sure that everyone knows that you've got a
What's
transition
coming,
plan coming, that you're on top of it, and you've got a soft place for them to land, I think is important.
Mhm.
And then prepare them for what those changes are going to look like. We mentioned sort of Humana has some unique plan designs. Simplicity, let's just call it out. Simplicity is a unique plan design that
Popular, very popular.
very popular. It's a zero deductible plan. It's copay driven. How would you position that walking in with a Blue Cross or United or an Aetna or an Allstate, or I'm gonna get in trouble for not mentioning them all, Allied and Trustmark and Health EZ and Cigna Plus Oscar and all of the other carriers out there. Whatever carrier you're bringing in to present, how would you position a Simplicity product?
Right.
You know?
And there's some options that are out there. They're more limited where you have those copay only plans, but there are options that are out there. But also just positioning then, if you have to move to a deductible plan, what makes sense based on what the copays were for those Simplicity plans, whether it was outpatient surgery, inpatient hospitalization, everything was a copay, versus shifting that over to a deductible plan, reinforcing you still have copays for office visit, pharmacy. And that's a little trickier transition, but there's certainly options out there for those groups.
Definitely. Go 365 is another one.
Mhm.
A big attractant and retention tool for a lot of Humana cases over the years has been their wellness program, and that is Go 365. Immensely popular with small group, not only because of the rewards program, which is probably the biggest draw for members, but also because of the premium discount and premium incentives that are built into that program. That once you qualify at one level, you're at that level for a full other year. You
Yep.
just, there are some things and moving parts to that wellness program that if you don't address those with your clients, or don't address them with prospects who you may be calling on, that could come back and not look good for you.
Sure.
After the install with the new carrier. So I think just addressing those up front, knowing that those are different. There are alternatives. United Healthcare has their Rally wellness program. Aetna has a fantastic wellness
Attain
program.
and Pure Fit. Yep.
Attain and Pure Fit built into their product. And those are changing over time. But there are other wellness programs built into other carrier products. There's wellness programs standalone that you might be able to research and plug in or bolt onto different products depending on case size and the market that you're in.
Mhm.
And then last but not least, I think just making sure that we are making the transition well in advance of that non-renewal coming out. The last thing
It's conveniently happening in the fourth quarter too, so
the
a
last,
lot going on anyway during that time.
oh my goodness, right? And the last thing an agent wants to get is that phone call that says, I just got a letter from Humana saying that we're not getting a renewal. What's the plan? Right? Making sure that you're getting out in front of that well in advance of that non-renewal hitting, and not to be scared of the non-renewal communication that comes from Humana, knowing, I think this is where the rubber hits the road with you as an advisor, and the confidence and trust that your client has in you as their trusted advisor. So having that communication openly and honestly and transparently up front, I think helps down the road, and getting out in front of it well in advance doesn't mean that you have to start the move, right? I mean,
Right.
It's just the gathering of the information.
Well, and we work with agents who have groups that have been with Humana for years and years and years, are not going to want to have to move. So again, facilitating that, it may be shopped every year, but we hear often they love Humana, they don't want to move. So making sure you're communicating with those employers, and it's going to be a forced move, but we have options, and all the carriers we work with have great options and great opportunities for this book.
And an important reminder again, can't emphasize enough, Humana is not going away as a company. They still have employees managing the service end of the group medical products. Humana as a company is committed to making sure that they've got people in place to help with that transition as groups. If groups elect to renew this year, then if they get it,
They will be serviced as they always have.
They
Yeah.
always have. And the ancillary products are still out there. You mentioned, I know Teresa in our office, Teresa Grusa will be happy to help you walk through that Humana renewal when it comes. And under the non-renewal side of it, on the medical piece, she'll be happy to walk you through how to keep the ancillary in place, what to do with the medical, and what options are out there. So I think we've covered a lot in our
I think we've stirred up any
discussion.
questions.
We do have a question in the Q&A from an anonymous attendee that says, what is the most appropriate way to market this information? I think first and foremost, you can certainly use the Humana Carrier Product Update video that we have on our website if you want your clients to hear the information directly from Humana. The FAQ marketing material on our site is also designed to assist you in your conversations with your clients. Those are all public facing, I think, that you can distribute to your clients and your prospects. Great question. So if you've got questions, welcome to raise your hand or throw them in the Q&A. And we want to go back to the question.
We were that good that we only had one question.
One question, nobody else? I don't see any hands. If you're calling in, I don't know if there's a way to raise your hand on a call.
I don't know.
I don't see any hands, so I think we're no questions. All right, so we do have one quick question for you before we close out. Rick's going to launch a poll here. Would you like for us to reach out to you to continue this conversation? Yes or no? Pretty simple. Whether that's today or tomorrow or next week, you may have a case or a block of business with Humana that you've got questions about. Maybe you're trying to position yourself to prospect some Humana cases, or you just didn't want to ask the question live in our discussion. I think, Rick, we do have a Q that came in. Chelsea asks, does Humana bundle ancillary rates? Are they honoring those rates after this transition? So there is a package savings opportunity, a bundling opportunity when you sell medical and the ancillary, and the The discount for that will go away when they pull off the medical.
Right.
So.
Right.
Great question, Chelsea.
And just a shameless plug for our team behind the scenes.
There's no shame plugging our thinking.
You mentioned Teresa, but we also have Stephanie and Andrea, and what we do all day, every day is help you, the agents, dissect the case. What is it you're looking for? What potential solutions we have? So just shoot us an email, give us a call, let us know what you've got. We'll come back to you and say, you know, here's what we need. For those of you who've worked with Andrea on the underwriting or the submissions, she's great about spelling out exactly the pieces that we need, what information is going to be, what to expect. So that's what we're here for, and really to be your backroom support and help you find the best fit. So if you don't know what to do with it, call us, email us, send us smoke signals. We're happy to help jump in and analyze it, as you said, and help find a fit for those cases, any case.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Kathy. After today, if you have additional questions, here's our contact information on the screen, as we share just in every video. You can also join the conversation on LinkedIn. We post a lot of content on our LinkedIn channel. We enjoy hearing back from our agents, getting feedback about what value we bring to you. So if you do enjoy the work that we do here at Legacy, or the content that we provide, please leave us a 5-star review on Google. It helps other agents out in the market find a quality general agent like Legacy. And then other resources, like I mentioned, this video will be posted on our Insights tab of our website. The conversation with David is posted on the Humana page under our Carriers tab. And then there's other materials out there as well that I think are useful and resourceful for agents out in the market. So that concludes our roundtable discussion for today. Upcoming events, we've got our Self-Funded University, part 1, 2, and 3 over the next 3 weeks. The 2-hour CE credits for each one of those. It's one of my favorite classes. I get to draw buckets and talk about CMAs. So be sure to sign up for those upcoming events. Don't forget that while these classes and these carrier product updates, we don't ever charge for our CE classes or our carrier product updates. They are not free for us to make. So we generate revenue by supporting insurance agents out in the market just like you, and we do that through a partnership as a general agent to support the work that you're doing and your role as a trusted advisor in the market. So be sure to reach out and give us a shot, kick the tires a little bit.
Yep.
Let's quote a case for you. We appreciate you being here today. If we can help you with your Humana transition plan, be sure to go to our website or call our office and reach out. Let us know how we can help.
Yeah.
Kathy,
Thanks for letting me come in the studio.
I'm so excited. Normally Rick picks on you when
I
you're
know,
on the other
but
side
I'm
of
on the other
wall.
side. I do
So,
exist.
I didn't see Rick raising his hand when
No.
we were checking attendance. That's all we've got for today. We appreciate your time here. If you've got questions, reach out. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.
Thanks.